Charles Bronson was born Charles Baczynski, one of 15 children of struggling parents in Pennsylvania. His mother, Mary Walinsky, was born in Pennsylvania, to Lithuanian parents, and his father, Walter Baczynski, was a Lithuanian immigrant coal miner. He completed high school and joined his father in the mines, an experience that resulted in a lifetime fear of being in enclosed spaces, and then served in WW2. After his return from the war, Bronson used the GI Bill to study art, a passion he had for the rest of his life, then enrolled at the Pasadena Playhouse in California. One of his teachers was impressed with the young man and recommended him to director Henry Hathaway, resulting in Bronson making his film debut in You're in the Navy Now, 1951.
So, Mr. Bronson, where were we?
Terrified, I think.
Oh,
we were
yes,
talking about the Valachi papers.
Getting permission to work in the city. You've had a tough life. I read quite a bit about you, and do you have any scars anywhere? Have you been maimed in the years that you've bummed, as they say, bummed around?
This isn't always what makes a life tough. I saw that film clip of Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Now, there was a boy living a tough life.
Even though he had a great
No
deal of money.
scars, nothing, but they're there, you know.
Yeah.
That's a tough life as well.
Yes, you can have a privileged tough life and a unprivileged tough life. But yours was certainly not a wealthy one by any means. Have you been battered up then? I mean, do you actually bear any physical wounds?
A few, yeah.
Yeah. Love to know what they are. What my chances are of finding out, I don't know at this moment.
When I was a kid, I used to ride freight trains. And in my hometown, a few other boys and myself, we robbed the company store. Took a freight train, and we got caught about 300 miles away, and I was shot off a boxcar. But it was
shot or shoved?
Shot.
Shot off a boxcar.
And I have that one. It's right here, that wound. And I have many others, of course, but they're not that much. Not that much to talk about.
How are you shot off a boxcar? A railroad police?
A railroad policeman, detective. In those days, they received $2 for every man they caught in the freight yards. And the justice of the peace would receive $2 for sentencing. It was that kind of thing.
That's sort of a bounty.
He said he fired to get us to stop. He didn't mean to hit me. And it wasn't much because the bullet just fell right out. After a little while, I mean, nobody had to pull it out. It was stuffed here, and it was a handgun, and it wasn't that powerful.
Did you think you were finished when it happened then?
No, I didn't think I was finished. One of the boys, of course, I thought he was finished because we were riding on the bumper of the freight train like this, and he had his feet up on the bumper of the other car. And as the back shifter pushed, the cars would come together like that. As we were going like that, his legs straightened out, and the back shifter pushed this part of his leg up into here.
Oh.
You know. So this is why we had trouble getting off the boxcar before the guy could catch us.
Yeah. That would slow you up.
He slowed us up.
Hopping a freight always seemed so romantic as a kid, and I know my grandfather used to do it, and I have an uncle who used to ride what they call blind baggage. Do you know what blind baggage is from hooking? And but every third person you hear of doing it either actually had leg cut off or fell between cars or something. So
it's a risky
not
thing.
A good idea, boys and girls. What we're saying.
We used to jump on freights from standing on a bridge that went over a river and a railroad track. We would stand up there and wait for those cars to go by and just time them and jump off like that about 30 feet before we hit the freight train. And we'd jump into coal freights, that sort of thing.
Jump into a coal car?
Yeah. So it was soft
wait a minute,
landing.
if a train is moving and you hit it, you're going to go right on the back of your head.
No, not the way we jump. But that's the way you jump.
Right. Right, a guy who does Mailer's Walk wrong would. You never ran into my Uncle Paul Richards hooking trains, did you? He used to...
I know Paul Richards, but he's not your uncle. He's an actor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There is one by the same name. Yeah. We're going to see a segment from the Valachi papers right now, if it's all right with everybody. I guess. Do you want to tell us a little about it?
I think what you have is the wedding scene. Mm-hmm. It's not much of an acting scene. It just happened to be a production shot. It was very difficult to get an acting scene because they haven't got it properly ready yet.
I see.
So you're having a wedding scene. My wife, in real life, plays my wife in the picture as well, and she's in the scene. And Lino Ventura's in it. He plays Genovese.
Uh-huh.
And you'll see some of the other characters as they appear. I think Lucky Luciano and the man that plays Anastasia is in it. I'm not sure.
Let's take a look at it.
I'm not sure how much of it you have.
Yeah, well, but we probably will see, is it rolling? We're going to meet...
Go.
Oh.
You're poised, I see.
You noticed this. Okay, I don't have to do it at this moment, actually. The lady who played your wife is your wife, Jill Ireland. We'll be meeting her shortly. Well, I guess probably not so good to talk about it, but when they make a movie like that, they must have to take an awful lot of advice from elaborate legal staffs and things.
No, that comes later.
Yeah.
Now, there's every studio, every distributor in the country wanted the picture.
Uh-huh.
They all wanted it. But when the legal department saw the picture, they said, lay off. Now, these are the lawyers. They don't want the picture. They don't want the problems. But Columbia took the picture because Dino De Laurenti said, listen, if anybody sues you, you have trouble with anybody, I'm responsible. Direct them to me. So he's accepting it. Columbia's distributing the picture for that reason, also because they like the picture. It's a good picture.
And of course, The Godfather was such a smash that they probably feel...
Well, it isn't because of The Godfather. The Godfather is a good picture, and it is such a smash, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
But it has nothing to do with The Godfather. I think a lot of the information that Puzo got for the book, The Godfather, came from the Valachi papers. Because it was Joseph Valachi who revealed everything there was to know about the mafia.
A lot of the authentic stuff that he got. Yeah.
These are where the words family came from.
That's right, when we first became aware of family.
Yeah, we have a comment to make in the picture about Godfather, which is something that you have in church when you baptize a baby.
You'd admit that some of the motivation for wanting the picture out, though, would be the great financial success of The Godfather.
Every picture is supposed to be a financial success. This is why they make them.
Yeah. I like a direct answer.
Yeah.
He appeared on screen often early in his career, though usually uncredited. However, he made an impact on audiences as the evil assistant to Vincent Price in the 3D thriller House of Wax, 1953. His sinewy yet muscular physique got him cast in action-type roles, often without a shirt to highlight his manly frame. He received positive notices from critics for his performances in Vera Cruz, 1954, Target Zero, 1955, and Run of the Arrow, 1957. Indie director Roger Corman cast him as the lead in his well-received low-budget gangster flick Machine Gun Kelly, 1958, then Bronson scored the lead in his own TV series, Man with a Camera, 1958. The 1960s proved to be the era in which Bronson made his reputation as a man of few words but much action. He appeared on screen often early in his career, though usually uncredited. However, he made an impact on audiences as the evil assistant to Vincent Price in the 3D thriller House of Wax, 1953. His sinewy yet muscular physique got him cast in action-type roles. He received positive notices from critics for his performances in Vera Cruz, 1954, Target Zero, 1955, and Run of the Arrow, 1957. Indie director Roger Corman cast him as the lead in his well-received low-budget gangster flick Machine Gun Kelly, 1958, then Bronson scored the lead in his own TV series, Man with a Camera, 1958. The 1960s proved to be the era in which Bronson made his reputation as a man of few words but much action.
You brought too many.
The U.S. was at the time in the midst of rising street crime, and audiences flocked to see a story about a mild-mannered architect who seeks revenge for the murder of his wife and rape of his daughter by gunning down hoods, rapists and killers on the streets of New York City. So popular was the film that it spawned 4 sequels over the next 20 years. Action fans could not get enough of tough guy Bronson, and he appeared in what many fans and critics consider his best role, Depression-era Street Fighter Cheney alongside James Coburn in The Street Fighter 1975. That was followed by the somewhat slow-paced western Breakheart Pass 1975 with wife Jill Ireland, the light-hearted romp A Flop from Noon Till 3 1976, and as Soviet agent Grigory Borsov in director Don Siegel's Cold War thriller Telephone 1977. Bronson remained busy throughout the 1980s, with most of his films taking a more violent tone, and he was pitched as an avenging angel eradicating evildoers in films like The 10 to Midnight 1983, The Evil That Men Do 1984, Assassination 1987, and Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects 1989. Bronson jolted many critics with his forceful work as murdered United Mine Workers leader Jock Yablonsky in the TV movie Act of Vengeance 1986, gave a very interesting performance in the Sean Penn-directed The Indian Runner 1991, and surprised everyone with his appearance as compassionate newspaper editor Francis Church in the family film Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus 1991.
I used to come down here when I was in the Air Force over at Kingman, Arizona. And it's all changed. You see that building? That was like a new, I'm talking to you. That building was like new when I first came here. He played the right part. We worked for the New York Post Office for one Christmas, delivering mail in the Puerto Rican section, special deliveries. We'd come back, he'd have blisters on his toes, and he'd take his socks off and put them on the radiator to dry. And you talk about stink. It's still hanging over a little bit.
Is going to work on Death Wish 5. This after years off spent with wife Jill Ireland before she died of cancer in 1990. You still think about it?
Oh, yeah. All her stuff is still there. Her clothes and makeup and the whole thing is still there. She was far brighter than me. She had many talents, you know. She could paint, sing, act. She does a lot of things. She used to do work on stage and ice skates, roller skates, everything.
Bronson's final film roles were as Police Commissioner Paul Fane in a well-received trio of crime, drama TV movies Family of Cops 1995, Breach of Faith, A Family of Cops 2 1997, and Family of Cops 3, Under Suspicion 1999. Unfortunately, ill health began to take its toll. He suffered from Alzheimer's disease for the last few years of his life, and finally passed away from pneumonia at Los Angeles Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in August 2003.